The essentials of life insurance in 2 minutes and 51 seconds. Ask yourself this question. If I die, what kind of financial obligations will my loved ones have?
The answer to that question is why many people first invest in insurance at critical times in their lives, like when they take on a student loan, get married, sign a mortgage, or have a child.
Bottom line, it is essential that you reassess your insurance needs whenever you make big changes in life that increase your financial risk. When you purchase life insurance, you are essentially paying a fee to your insurance provider that requires them to pay a certain amount of money to the people you love if you were to die. There are two basic kinds of life insurance, term and permanent. If you plan to keep your policy less than 10 years, term insurance may be the right choice for you. If you need coverage for the long term, you might consider permanent insurance. With term insurance, you pay a recurring fee called a premium and are covered for a special period of time or term. The term might be 1, 5, 10, 20 years or more. If you die, it pays the death benefit amount to your beneficiaries, meaning whomever you've designated to receive the funds. Term life insurance generally has no cash value, which simply means the insured cannot cash the policy in for money. The purpose of the policy is to pay your beneficiaries when you die. Term insurance is usually renewable at the end of the term you choose when purchasing the policy, though renewal is often at a higher cost since you will be older when it renews and your health may have changed. Generally speaking, the older you are, the more expensive life insurance becomes. If you choose not to renew, your coverage ends. With permanent insurance, there are 3 general categories: whole, variable, and universal. With a permanent life insurance policy, you will probably pay a higher premium and coverage can last your entire lifetime. These plans are designated to pay a death benefit while also building cash value from which you can borrow, use to pay premiums later in life, or pass on to your beneficiaries at your death. If at some point you decide you don't need insurance anymore, you can cash in a permanent insurance policy for the cash value available. For most people, life insurance can be surprisingly affordable. Insurance companies evaluate your age, health, and lifestyle to manage their own financial risk. Obviously, the healthier you are, the longer you could live, and therefore your premiums are lower. So, it makes sense to consider investing in life insurance when you are younger and healthier. The earlier, the better. We hope these 2 minutes and 51 seconds have been informative. Remember, it's a 50,000-foot view of the types of life insurance. To learn more about insurance, insurance products that could be right for you, and other ways to protect tomorrow by embracing today, visit protective.com.
Growing up, I had a really good life. My mom was a single mom. It was an all-girl family, and my sisters and me and my mom, and just hang out like friends. We went camping almost every weekend. We'd hang out by the pool and go to the beach. My mom was my best friend. She was funny, hardworking. She would do anything for you if you needed it. She'd give you the shirt off her back, even if she didn't have it to give to you. When my mom lost her job and I was still in high school, it was hard because you always worry if you're going to be okay the next day, so it stresses you out a lot. My mom was overweight, so she had a hard time with her blood pressure, but nothing that was really serious. We went camping for Mother's Day every year since we were born, so it was a big deal, and we were there hanging out, and that's when her foot started bothering her. So we went to the hospital, and they said that they thought she might have a blood infection in her lower leg, and they wanted to monitor her to make sure the infection would not go into her bloodstream, so they kept her overnight. And we ended up spending Mother's Day in the hospital, so we brought all her presents to the hospital and balloons. My mom passed away from a pulmonary embolism that developed in her sleep. They actually called me on the phone, and the nurse was just very blunt and said, you know, your mom passed away, what do you want to do?
I received a call from Brittany in the morning. She was hysterical, as she should be, and I told her I would be to the hospital within 30 minutes. Right then and there, I started getting resources in place for the girls, and then comforting the girls, but going back and forth between being the aunt and being somebody to get resources going for them, knowing what they needed and what was coming.
When my mom passed away, we only had $300 in our bank account, and she didn't have life insurance. We didn't have any money to bury her or to do anything, so the state had to pay for a cremation. And then I had to make a decision for my sisters because they're minors, what I wanted to do at that point, and where I wanted to send the body, and how to write the obituary. And we lived in a house, the same house, since 2004 when we moved down here. My mom owed money on it. We had only a week to move out before they foreclosed. We had to leave everything.
We tried everything so they wouldn't lose their home, but they lost their home.
We moved to a small 2-bedroom apartment in St. Pete, only 15 minutes away from where we lived. Catholic Charities helped us get the apartment. They paid the first 3 months and then sent me to a financial advisor to do my budget to make sure I could afford it. So I work full-time and I go to school full-time and I take care of my sisters full-time. And I work usually 8 to 5 and I go to school usually 6 to 10. I come home and I make sure they ate dinner and clean up, and I go to bed around 12 or 1, do it all over again. I'm getting a Bachelor of Science in Social Work, and then I'm going to go right for my Master's. I pay for school with loans, or I take a limited amount of classes, whatever I could afford. My dream for the future is to graduate college, help people who are in similar situations like me. I definitely want to have life insurance and afford my house and not struggle. I'm going to be the first one in my family to graduate college, so I always wanted to make my mom proud and do it for her. Financially, everyday life is still a struggle. We still haven't got back up on our feet. We still live paycheck to paycheck and make ends meet, but in the future I'm hopeful that we'll be okay.
Your loved ones, they mean everything to you. You provide for their everyday needs and their future dreams. But what if something were to happen to you? No one wants to think about dying, but have you ever wondered how your loved ones would manage financially? Wouldn't you like to know? You can, with life insurance. Having life insurance means that if you were to die, your loved ones would receive money that would allow them to pay funeral costs, monthly bills and living expenses, any outstanding debt, including medical bills, credit cards, and mortgage, and allow them to finance future needs like your children's education or your spouse's retirement. Unfortunately, many people don't get life insurance because they believe it's too expensive. For most people, that's just not true. For example, a healthy 30-year-old can get $250,000 of coverage for around $12 a month. That's just 3 lattes. But how do you know how much coverage you need? A general rule of thumb is 8 to 10 times your salary. But this may be too much or too little for you, as everyone's situation is unique. To find your number, take a few minutes to use the online Life Happens Life Insurance Needs Calculator. It will give you a general idea of how much you need. Then reach out to an insurance agent. It's free, and they can help you get the right amount and right type of life insurance. You've always provided for your loved ones. Don't wait till that's no longer possible. Life happens. That's why there's life insurance. Learn more today at lifehappens.org.
Don was a worrywart, but he was a jokester.
He was really good at math, and I pretty much follow in his footsteps with jobs, activities, and everything else I do.
Don worked at a deli when I first met him. He later went on to become a tile contractor. He was an excellent craftsman. We started to do business together for his tile business, for his life insurance, his auto insurance, his home insurance.
I noticed that my dad had changed because we were working on a math problem that I couldn't understand, and he had no idea what to do with just adding a couple numbers, and it took him like a half hour to figure it out.
He was forgetting things a lot. He was becoming short-tempered. So one day we just went into the doctor's, no appointment or nothing, and I was like, look, something's wrong with him. You need to figure out what's wrong. Then the next day the doctor called and he informed us that Donald did in fact have a brain tumor. They told us that he had glioblastoma, which is a brain tumor that he would not be cured, but they could treat it to prolong his life. Him being such a worrywart, you know, he was like, we gotta call Chris to make sure everything's okay and that we're up to par.
He had that fearful look on his face. He walked in my office directly to my desk. I assured him that the policy was in force, everything was going well, and then we sat down a little while later and he broke the news to me. On Don's policy, we included 2 riders. One is the waiver of premium, which is a disability waiver and also the accelerated death benefit, where you can receive up to half of the death benefit while you're still living.
Even though we had the life insurance, I wasn't aware that you can actually draw off of it. I just always assumed that you couldn't collect until you passed. It was a great relief to know that, because that allowed me to actually be able to take a leave of absence from my job to do what I wanted to do for my husband, was to have him home and here the day that he passed with his family.
My dad lived for about 19 months after he was diagnosed, and he held in there pretty strong.
Anyone in his condition probably would have passed away 8 months earlier. They would have just gave up. But not Donald.
Today, my family still struggles over the loss of my father, but we continue to be happy because we are grateful for the things we can still have.
Everyone thinks because you're going through a hard time, well, the bills don't stop. And that's the truth, Your life may seem like it stopped, but everything around you is still going. I really think if there was anything he was so happy and proud that he did, was to have purchased that life insurance. It allowed him to leave this earth comfortable, knowing that we would be financially okay, and that when he did pass on, that I wouldn't have to go right back to work, that I could be here to console our children.